Hello, welcome to the preview on Business Plus for January 2023. I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Happy New Year. I trust that 2023 will be a very interesting year for you. This month's edition of Business Plus has one article, Commercializing Your Invention. I had an interesting interview with a new client for our consultancy business this week, who briefed me on a new product that he had developed. The issues that we discussed could relate to a number of your clients who are involved at various stages of a project. I thought it was interesting enough to base our first Business Plus for the year on the discussions that I had with him, and hopefully this will assist you if you have similar clients coming to discuss these types of issues. We started with research and development. I asked him in which entity had he undertaken the work, and he answered in his own name. I asked him how much money he had spent so far, and he said over $30,000. I told him that he couldn't claim the research and development tax offset because he had to be a company to claim that extra incentive. He indicated that he had not been told this by his accountant or lawyer. I then discussed a number of other matters, including protection of intellectual property. He had appointed a patent attorney who had handled the provisional patent application, and that was good. We then discussed the research and development system requirements if he was wanting to claim the research and development tax offset. He didn't know much about that. Prototypes. He has developed a prototype, which looked quite good. But anyone undertaking this type of research activity needs to be able to develop a prototype. We then talked about market research. He had not undertaken any market research, and I suggested that he needed to start this process by preparing a detailed analysis of how his product is going to compare to others already in the marketplace. I stressed to him this is going to be very important if he's going to be able to receive external financial assistance by loan funds or capital raising. We then talked about the project budget. I wanted to know how much additional money had to be spent to get the product into a commercial ready stage. And this includes more than just the development time and expense in developing the final prototype, but it also includes patent attorneys' fees, international patent protection, lawyers' fees, accountancy fees, office expenses, staff salaries, and a whole range of other costs. So a detailed budget needs to be prepared. Funding required was then the next subject. How much more money is going to be required? He originally started saying about $100,000, but by the time we were finished, we had the sum up to about $500,000 when you included some of these other matters that he hadn't thought about. So it's very important that you sit your clients down and work through exactly how much money they do require to get the business to a commercial ready status where it's going to be able to at least break even, hopefully make money. Borrowing money. I asked him where he was then going to get this these funds from. He said, oh, I'll have to raise capital or borrow it. My first question is, well, if you're going to borrow it, banks require security. Have you got spare assets that you can offer as a security? And he said, no. So we then started looking at the capital raising opportunities. And there are 3 of these for private companies. We got Section 708 of the Corporations Act, which, as you know, a company can raise up to $2 million in a 12-month period without having to prepare a prospectus. And that can be the process to raise capital from 20 investors. over a 12-month period. He had heard a little bit about the early stage innovation company, and there are real benefits here for the eligible investors. It's part of the government's strategy to try to encourage investors to look seriously at young companies in Australia who have been undertaking research and development type activities, because they get a tax offset based on the amount of the investment that they make. There's some restrictions, and they then can avoid capital gains tax if the original shareholders own the shares for longer than 12 months and less than 10 years. So it's a great system. The company gets the money, of course. Crowdsource funding equity raising was the third option that we looked at. This is available for a private company or an unlisted public company with turnovers under $25 million and gross value of assets under $25 million, not listed on a stock exchange anywhere in the world. These companies can raise up to $5 million in a 12-month period by issuing shares to members of the public. To do this activity, you have to coordinate the appointment of a crowdsource funding intermediary. There are 16 of these organisations appointed by ASIC in Australia, but the market is dominated by poor companies, and 2 of which have about an 85% share, but you need to open up the communications with them. We then talked about the predictive accounting reports that are going to be necessary to be able to assist companies to be able to negotiate capital raising. They're going to need business plans which look at the next 5 years, budgets, cash flow forecasts, and projected balance sheets, again, preferably over a 5-year period, so that the investor can see what the end result's going to be. I thought this was an interesting story. As I was sitting in my office with the next project being to write this month's edition of Business Plus. So I thought I would share it with you, because this has brought into play a number of different issues, hasn't it? Starting with research and development. If your client is going to spend more than $20,000, I think you should be talking to them about the research and development tax offset system. You should be suggesting to them that they need a company formed for this purpose. And then they need to understand how much money is going to be involved in this project and where's that money going to come from. And they also need to fully appreciate the need for market research on what their new widget is and how's it compared to others already in the marketplace. Then they need to be able to decide whether they're able to borrow the money they need, in which case they normally need security, or are they going to embark on a capital raising process? You may have clients that are at different stages of this process. And perhaps as you send round this edition of Business Plus, you could contact those clients to see whether they want to have a discussion with you. Where are they at on their research and development activities? And you could possibly also send a general note round to all of your clients and prospects, alerting them to this article within Business Plus, because you never know who has been undertaking some activities in their shed or on their computer, and they know that they are going to have to go down this process at some stage, and hopefully they'll come and talk to you about it, and you have a new exciting business opportunity to work through with your clients. Thank you for your support of ESS BizTools and ESS BizGrants during 2022. We look forward to working with you in 2023. If you have any suggestions or comments on articles to be included in Business Plus in the future, or generally on the material that we're producing for you to use to be able to assist you to offer business advisory services to your clients and prospects, please do not hesitate to contact us. From the team at ESS BIZTOOLS, Happy New Year, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Goodbye.